Chapter 1. The Woman Who Raised a Nation. Every best-selling memoir begins with a woman who did not know she was shaping history while she lived it. Mine begins with my grandmother. She never worked a day on anyone else's time clock, but she ran an empire all her own. 12 children, a husband, a house that never stayed quiet and never stayed empty. There was always food on the stove, always someone stopping by who did not technically live there, always a chair being pulled up for one more mouth. Her home functioned like a small country with open borders, firm laws, and an unspoken understanding that if you entered, you were going to be fed, prayed for, and expected to act right. Her kitchen was the center of everything. Even on days when the cabinets looked lean, she could pull together a full meal using nothing but seasoning, memory, and love. Heavy pots simmered for hours, greens cooked slow, cornbread came out with a crust so perfect it felt holy. I used to think God himself had touched it before it hit the table. There was something sacred in the way she moved through that space, the way she stirred, the way she tasted, the way she knew when something was finished without checking a clock. She did not need a boss to tell her what her time was worth. She did not need a paycheck to prove her value. She did not even drive, yet somehow she always got exactly where she needed to be. She walked everywhere, not because she had to, but because she chose to. There was authority in her walk. Her footsteps carried weight. You could hear her before you saw her. It was as if the ground recognized her presence and made room. People talk now about presence as if it is something you can learn in a workshop. What she carried was not that. Presence is too small a word. What lived in her was God in her bones. I watched rooms change when she entered them. Voices softened, bodies straightened. Not out of fear, but out of respect. She did not raise her voice often, but when she spoke, people listened. She did not waste words. She said just enough to shift the spirit in the room, just enough to make you think differently about yourself when you walked away. In her time, women did not get choices. Nobody asked if you wanted to stay home or raise children. You did it because that was life. You cooked, you cleaned, you prayed, you held your household together while holding yourself together. And somehow, under all that pressure, she still found her freedom. She always had money tucked away. Not much, but enough. Folded bills hidden in drawers, pockets, paper towels. You never caught her unprepared. If something happened, she would smile and say she had it handled. She never explained how. She just did. People looked at her sideways because she did not have formal education, but I promise you, she knew more than most people with degrees on their walls. Her wisdom came straight from living, from loss. From long nights standing at the stove thinking about how to stretch what little she had into something that could feed everybody. I loved her for that. I loved her for the quiet way she held everyone together, for how she made people feel like they mattered even when the world had told them they did not. Her hugs felt like safety, like being wrapped in a blanket on a cold day. She prayed under her breath like God was sitting in the room with us, listening closely. I carried her inside me like a secret inheritance. Her strength felt like something I could reach for whenever I needed it. I told myself that one day I would make her proud, but I also told myself my life would be different. Not better, just mine. I imagined choices. I imagined a life where I was not automatically assigned a role. I saw myself working a job with a desk, a paycheck with my name on it. I imagined power that did not come from a frying pan or a clothesline. I wanted heels, a purse, a phone that rang because someone needed me in a meeting. I wanted to be needed outside of the home. I did not understand yet that God was not asking me to reject her life, only to expand the story she started. I did not know that I would one day walk a path that circled back to everything she had taught me, just dressed differently. All I knew was that something inside me was awake early, restless, curious, hungry for more than one version of womanhood. I was born from her prayers, shaped by her example, and still brave enough to want something new. And I did not yet know how hard the world would try to make me forget who I was. But she knew, and she was already preparing me. The goodbye that changed everything. I was 8 years old when life decided for me. One minute I was home in Memphis, and the next minute I was being told it was time to leave it behind. Not later, not someday, now. Grown folks had already made the decision, and my job was to follow it. Memphis was not just a city to me. It was the sound of family moving through rooms without knocking. It was the smell of grease and seasoning floating through the house before the sun even came up. It was my grandmother's voice calling somebody's name from the kitchen. It was cousins bursting through the screen door like they lived there too. It was belonging without explanation. Then my mother married a military man. That one decision shifted everything. Orders came through, bags were packed. A new life was already arranged, and I was expected to step into it without understanding what I was stepping away from. From Memphis, Tennessee to the low country of South Carolina, just like that, I was gone. I remember the day we left in a way memory usually does not work. Not fuzzy, not distant, sharp, clear, heavy. My grandmother stood in front of me and placed her hands on my shoulders. Her grip was firm, steady, warm. But I felt the smallest tremble, the kind you only notice when you know somebody well. She pulled me into her chest and held me so tight my breath caught for a second. I did not pull away. I wanted to stay right there, pressed into everything I knew. She did not cry. That was never her way. But grief does not need tears to be loud. I felt it in the way she held me, like she was pressing something invisible into my spirit, like she knew she would not be there for the next part of my growing, and she needed to leave me with something strong enough to last. She leaned down, close enough that her breath warmed my ear, and she whispered words I did not understand then, but would carry with me for the rest of my life. Do not let nobody turn you into less than who you are. That was it. She did not say goodbye. She did not say she loved me. She said that. I nodded because that felt like the right response, but inside I was confused. Less than who I was? I was 8. I did not know who I was yet. I was still learning how to tie my shoes properly, still sleeping with a stuffed animal, still thinking the world was safe because she existed in it. But she knew. She always knew. As we pulled away, I turned around in my seat and looked back at her standing on the porch. She did not wave. She stood still, arms crossed, strong, unmoving, like she was holding the whole sky up long enough for us to leave. The car moved forward, and the only world I had ever known started shrinking behind me. The drive felt longer than it probably was. Trees changed. Roads felt unfamiliar. Even the air felt different, heavier somehow. Nobody explained what I was supposed to feel. Nobody asked if I was ready. Children rarely get asked. We left behind the rhythm of Memphis, the voices that knew my name, the safety of people who loved me without conditions. We drove straight into a life that required adjustment, obedience, and silence. Looking back now, I believe 8 was the age I stopped being careless. Not careless in behavior, but careless in spirit. Something in me woke up on that drive. A watchfulness, a sense that life could change without warning, that love could be present one moment and distant the next, that safety was not permanent. I did not have words for it then, but my body understood. My spirit understood. That whisper from my grandmother settled into me like a warning and a promise at the same time. Do not let nobody turn you into less than who you are. South Carolina was quieter, too quiet. The streets did not hum like Memphis. The houses looked neat but distant. The people smiled differently, polite but not familiar. I felt like a visitor in my own life. At night, I missed the sound of my grandmother moving around, missed the feeling of knowing exactly where I belonged. I did not cry every night, but the ache stayed with me, a low, constant pull in my chest. That goodbye changed me, even though I did not know it yet. It was the first time I learned that love sometimes prepares you for separation, that protection sometimes looks like distance, that the people who raise you cannot always walk every mile with you, but they can leave you with truth, and her truth stayed with me. It stayed with me when I felt small, when I felt unsure, when the world started testing how much I believed about myself. Because the world would try, and it would not be gentle, but neither was she. And neither, eventually, would I be.